18. Ross is also in the room with us, and he will be answering any questions you have. If you open up your GoToWebinar toolbar and click the plus by questions, you can enter questions in there. Let me go ahead and show my screen with you again. You should now see on screen version 18.15.0. We can see that in the upper right corner. On the newer versions of Church Windows, that is moved to the upper right corner. Again, version 18 is not out yet. This is just a preview of version 18. So please be patient with me, be kind. Again, I've worked with this some with the help files, and I've got a little outline of what I want to show you here. We're going to go ahead and click on membership. Also, towards the end of the user group, I want to show you some useful things on our website in case you're not aware they are there. Normally I'd show that at the beginning, but for time's sake, since it's only a 20-minute user group, and for people who already know about that information, I'm going to go ahead and show that at the end. So people who already know that can go ahead and exit the room if they'd like to. All right, so if we go ahead and open up membership, you see the new membership portal, which if you're on version 17, you're familiar with this screen. You're also familiar with how reports changed. What we're going to look at today is the attendance changes, or some of those. I'm going to go ahead and click on attendance, and we see here 4 options: attendance entry, browse attendance, set up groups classes, and groups classes skills interest assignment. So far, the last 2 options, at least what I've seen, I don't know if they're going to change for 18, but so far these 2 are still the same as previous versions. What we're going to look at is attendance entry and then browse attendance. We're just going to look at the different fields and how they work. Go ahead and click on attendance entry. So if you didn't know, in Church Windows, you can record attendance for your events. And events would be things like your Sunday worship, the regular weekly things that anyone can attend, versus groups classes. Groups classes you can set up in the program and put people into those groups classes. To mark attendance for people, they would have to be enrolled in the class, or you'll see we can also mark people who are not enrolled in the class as present if maybe they came for a day. But that's the difference here. Events, let me go ahead and get my little spotlight here. In the upper left, we'll just start in the upper left and move our way around. You'll notice, if you're familiar with the current attendance entry screen, we've kind of kept things in the same place, functions the same way. You're just going to see you have some new options and new things you can do. I believe eventually all of membership will be rewritten to look more like what we see here, written in the SQL language. As computers and technology advances, our program has to keep up with those changes, or else it's not going to keep functioning on newer systems like Windows 10 just came out. I'm holding off on putting that on my laptop until they work out the bugs, but I just now got that with Windows 8, so I'm just getting used to that. Now, if in the upper left we choose events or groups classes, if we have them both checked, then you click right here under Division Department Category, click the drop down. You'll see the different divisions, departments, or categories you've set up for your groups classes. And if you choose one here, then that makes your list smaller. Let's go ahead. Not sure why I unchecked groups classes. I checked it back here. Notice if I look at my list and I have events and groups classes both checked, I see a long list of all of my events and all of my groups classes. If I uncheck groups classes and click the down arrow, then I'm only seeing my events. Or if I choose just groups classes, now notice none of my worship services are showing. But if you have a lot of groups classes, you can use this division department category to narrow down what you see below in the groups classes drop down. If I choose my musical groups, now I'm only seeing the one item I have set up for musical group class, which is my adult choir. So we can choose events or groups classes, and then we can choose division or department or categories to narrow down what group or class we see. Or if we're choosing events, we could just choose events to choose the one we want here. For today, let's just choose an event. I'll mark a couple dates of attendance, we'll go ahead and choose our Sunday AM worship because I do hopefully have time to show you the browse screen, and we need some attendance entries in there to see it. Now, if you choose your event, or you're looking for your event or your group or class, either one, and you don't see it in the list, you can click the plus at the end of the line, and that will bring up a little window where you can add a new event. And if I do that, it just brings up a box showing my current codes and descriptions for my events. Or I can add a group class, which takes me to the Setup Groups Classes screen. And that's the old screen that's in your version you have right now. All right, so we'll go ahead and just choose that Sunday AM worship. A nice little indicator also, there's so much new things here. I like this because in the old program, a lot of times people would set up their events accidentally as groups classes. And if you do that, then you have to add people, new people, to that group or class to mark attendance for them. Looking in the drop-down now, notice we have a little column that indicates to you if something is an event. If it's not checked for an event, then that would mean it's a group or class. So we'll go ahead and choose that Sunday worship. Now, we can choose our date here by either typing the date in, or I can click the down arrow here. And maybe I'm going back and recording attendance for another date. I can click on a date in my calendar. So we'll just go ahead and we'll put in some past attendance here. Now, once I add attendance, then I have this previous dates I can click on, but I don't have anything here. I can go ahead and mark people present, or a dollar amount collected, or I can go down and actually mark individuals as present, excused, or having taken communion. So let's do a little combination here. We'll put in 5 people, or 50. We'll say 55. And now if I enter a dollar amount here in collected, that does not carry over to donations. It's simply for reporting on your attendance entries. New little button here though for if you enter persons present and or dollar amount collected. If I click on details, I can really narrow down to who gave what dollar amount. Now this is optional. You don't have to go in and fill this out, but I could say, 50 members or visitors and then 5 children. And if I go in here and enter the dollar amounts here, then I can click compute down at the bottom of each column, and it will go ahead and figure that out for me and fill them in. Now again, I'm going through this pretty quickly because we have 20 minutes and I want to show you also the browse screen. Now once I'm ready, if I want to mark attendance for individuals, I can start looking for people by clicking the down arrow and finding them on my list. Or if I click someone by accident, I can use the X to clear it out. I can start typing someone's name and then it will find whatever I'm typing. And then I can go ahead and mark people as attended, present. It can also check excused or communion. Now if the whole family attended, I can right click on that line right under present, and I can choose check present for entire family. And that marks everyone in the family. Oops, get back down to Jones. Oops, went too fast. Marks all of the family members here as having attended. So you have some things to help you do things quicker. Now if the person, I don't find them in attendance entry in the event or the group class, I can click on the plus at the end of the line and choose to add a member or a visitor. And that brings up the old add screen where I can choose new or existing. So whoops, cancel. Now let me go ahead real quick. Also notice there's an area where we can enter comments, and those will print on reports. If I instead choose a group or class, notice it's a little different. Actually, let me choose, whoops, I'm on musical groups. I want classes. If you've set up additional information, notice I have some different tabs here when I choose a group or class. Because in events, people aren't enrolled, everybody could come to an event. Groups or classes, we put people in them. And then when I choose one for attendance entry, it shows me who is enrolled. I can also click on the not enrolled column, and mark somebody present if maybe they just visited for a weekend to see what class was like. And I can enter comments as well. Another neat feature, if I'm doing attendance entry for a group or class, it also shows the additional information if you set that up for recording. Maybe they brought their Bible or learned their verse. You can set up additional information to track. But maybe one of these kids who wasn't enrolled in the group or class has now joined it. I can easily right here click on enroll at the end of the line. And now if I go back over to enrolled, we see it moved Allison Marie Berry over to be enrolled in our first and second grade class and marked her present. So let me go ahead and just mark some of these. And now I'm going to move to a different date. Let me just mark a few here. Just randomly marking some because I want to show you the little box with 3 dots at the end of that line. All right, so I've marked a couple dates in July. If I click this little box with 3 dots up by date, notice I get a little drop down showing me all the different dates that have been recorded for my first and second grade class. So if I want to click on one of those, it will take me right to that and show me what I've recorded for that group or class. Now upper right, I have the print, which let's start at the bottom though, because I want to show you under options. If you don't track communion for events or groups classes, you can turn it on or off for either of those. Same thing for that excused absence column. And you also can relabel some of the fields that show here if you want to name them something different. Now let me go back really quick, and I just want to record a couple. Oops. I need to uncheck this. That will make it easier. A couple more Sunday worships so we see some more when we go to, we'll just mark everybody present. Now we could check all present and then go through, uncheck the ones we don't need. Maybe we don't track whether people are excused or we don't track communion, so we could turn those off under options. And now the only column we have is the present column. And as I mark people present, notice it also tells me how many I've marked present. If you want to delete a date, you would just find that date and then click delete. And it just asks, do you want to delete all the attendance you've recorded? I'm going to say no, just because I want to have a little to look at when we go to browse. Under copy, that's the old copy attendance where we can pick a date. And if it's incorrect, we would then pick our correct date here, and we could copy over that attendance and delete the old if needed as well. So that function still exists. And if I click print, I can choose what I want to print, a report, labels, or email. Let's go ahead really quickly and look at, now that I've entered a few attendance entries, let's go to Browse Attendance and take a look at this window. Now the default is to show everyone non-terminated for the entire date range. We can see that up at the top. It's showing 1/1/15 through 12/31/15. So we're seeing all of our attendance. Upper left, if we want to see a particular individual's attendance, we can choose their name from the list. And once we click on their name, now it's showing me anything we've marked in attendance for that individual. If I move on to Bethany Adams, we see her attendance and so on. We can use the arrow. You can use this as a search box and type a name in it. And then click on the name from the drop-down list to bring up their attendance. Or you can use the arrows here to scroll alphabetically through your individuals. Or if you realize you bring up someone's name and realize you don't have their attendance in, you can click Add Attendance. Choose what you need here and click Save, and it would add that to their record. Now, if you want to narrow down to just seeing particular events or groups classes, notice upper left. Here we could choose maybe just our first and second grade. That's all we want to see attendance for in Browse. And, let me clear out Renee Ann Jones. We're only looking at her name. That's why I'm not seeing anything. So once I clear out her name, now we're seeing some of the attendance I just entered. If we want to change what we're seeing in the browse screen, we can click upper left here on change dates and column and sort. Maybe we just notice now we're seeing July and August. Maybe all we want to see is August. So I can go ahead and select my August dates. I find it easier to click on today since I want August and then go back into the calendar and click on the first and last day. I can go to columns and let me go ahead first and click OK here because I did not click the plus by any of these to open them up and show you. Because we have a group or class here and it has additional information, clicking the plus opens up and shows us what we recorded for those people for additional information. Now notice also I asked for just August when we just clicked on change dates, and it is now just showing me what I've recorded for August, which was just the one day. Also, we have the month and year. I can here just choose a particular month, and now it's showing me just that month. I can use the year here to go back in years. Notice it's right here changing that date to show me. Oops, and I got an error message. Let me see if I close that. It's going to kick me out. Let's try going back in. And really quickly, let me write down when that occurred so I can let the programmers know. It was under attendance, browse. If I don't write it down, I'll forget in 5 minutes. And we were changing the year back. All right, so let's go back to browse. All right, now notice again it's defaulting and it's showing me all of 2015. Also under that change dates and column and sort, I wanted to show you if I go to columns, I can remove some of the columns if I don't want to see some of these. Maybe I only want to see the name of the group or class, the attendee, the date, and whether they were present or not. I can also choose how it's grouping and sorting. Maybe I don't want any grouping or sorting, so I can just click OK. And now it's showing me alphabetically by attendee their exact attendance for the year. And notice it's only showing me the columns I chose. Now you can group and sort right on this screen without having to click on change dates, group and sort. Notice right up here I see this box with attendee, so it's sorting by that. I can click and drag and drop that right in my column headers. And now I'm just seeing a list of my attendance from, well, July and August because that's all I've entered in so far. But I could, if I want, you can right here on the screen, maybe I want to group it by date. I can click and drag those column headers up to have it group directly on the screen by whatever that column header is. And then within that, I could even do a second grouping. So here I'm grouping first by the event or class, and then within that, it's grouping by date. And then within that, it's showing me the people who are present. All right, lastly, upper right, we can click on options, and here we can, like in attendance entry, we can opt to see whether we're going to track attendance or track communion or excused absences for events or groups classes. And we can relabel our fields if we'd like. And if I were to click print right now, then that will bring up a report showing me exactly what I have arranged my browse attendance screen to show right now. All right. We are at, well, depending on which clock I look at, that is exactly 20 minutes. So let me take a look at the questions that Ross has had posed to him and see if there's anything he did not know the answer. Someone asked, can you record it on their record? And yes, you can still record attendance right on someone's record. And then said if it's recorded as an attendance entry, does this entry show under groups classes on the person's record? And yes, if you go into attendance entry and you enter someone, let's look at Beth Adams. If I've entered attendance for Beth Adams, if I go into her record, And at the top, I click on attendance. Notice it doesn't have attendance record anymore. You would go directly to browse attendance to see her attendance. And I wonder if that's a bug because I would have expected it to just show me her attendance. Beth Adams. Let's check on Jan. Maybe I looked up the wrong one. I think we had Jan. So let's go to browse attendance for Jan. It does show Beth at the top. Let me try Richard Althoff, somebody who isn't right at the top. Oops, I don't want to add. Let's click find. Oops. And this might still be something they are working on. Like I said, 18 is not due out yet, so it could be this is something. Yeah, so what I would expect it does when you're on a record and you go up to attendance and browse, I would expect that to bring up their attendance record. But again, this might be something they're still working on before they release 18. So what I expect is that when we go to the record and ask to browse attendance and we have a certain individual highlighted, it should bring up their attendance. We'll have to see if they add that. All right. Let's see. Somebody asked, will you be able to print reports that combine attendance, membership, and donation information? So far as I know, yes, you can already do that, and I expect you should still be able to do that as well in the new program. If you go to Reports, Reports Directory Export, here we can choose attendance and enter any attendance information we want. Just cancel here, and then you could add any other criteria, and then you have the different giving and pledging and accounts tabs to add donation information. So I don't know for certain, but I know you can now, and typically they don't take away things like that. So I expect, yes, that you should be able to print reports with attendance, membership, and donation information. And someone asked, does that work the same way as it does currently? Let me scroll up and see what you mean by that, because I don't know what that means. Can we create a list of people who have attended a certain number of times in a specific time period? That is something you currently can do. That's what I was just showing you in reports. So I would expect that, yes, that would be available, but I don't know for certain. Again, a lot of this I don't know yet because I've only seen the attendance entry and browse screen. But the programmers typically don't take away features. They try to add more and enhance things. So pretty sure they should be able to do that. What happens when you go to Groups Classes icon instead of attendance? I'm assuming you mean in the membership records. If you go to that, that brings up on their record the individual's current groups classes. So showing groups classes on a record is entirely different than going to attendance entry and actually tracking attendance for someone. Someone asked, we used to be able to show a number of visits per visitor, a cumulative total instead of each individual time they attended. Will that be available in 18? I would expect yes it would, but again, that's not part that they've rewritten yet, so I expect it would be, but I'm not certain. Someone said, I see it works the same as it does now. Thanks. Yes, it is. It's very similar. Everything's almost positioned the same as the current attendance entry screen. I think there's just some enhancements and new things you weren't able to do on the attendance entry in the older versions. Someone said they've never used attendance but used groups classes extensively. Okay, well, hopefully now that you see you can track attendance for those groups classes and for your events, maybe you'll use those more. Somebody asked, when entering attendance, does it automatically save? I may have missed the save button. You are correct. It does automatically save. If I go in, there is no save button. I can just move on to my next date. Notice I did 8/9. If I move on to another date, mark some things here, then notice in my list I see 8-9. It automatically saves what you marked for an attendance. There's no save button or anything. All right. Are there more questions? Or I don't know if there was any questions Ross didn't know the answer to. I don't know that I would either. Again, for both of us, it's new for us too. Obviously, we've worked in it some since I've been helping with the help files, and I made myself an outline to get ready for this and make sure I knew my way around the screen. Let's see. Someone did ask, is it possible to show, in addition to an individual's mailing address, their current phone number and email address in the attendance window? I don't believe so. No, there are no other columns. So no, currently you cannot, but I do see where Ross said he would add that to suggestions for you. So we can ask the programmers and maybe they can add that in the future. All right, let me scroll back down and see. All right, I don't see any new questions. If you're in mid-type of a question, you might want to go ahead and hit enter and then continue typing the rest of your question. I don't want to close the classroom while you're in mid-type and miss your question. Hopefully everyone likes what they see. Again, it's pretty similar to what you currently have, but you can do some new different things with it. I like the new browse. I like the attendance entry, but I like all the flexibility on that browse attendance screen. And I like how everything's kind of streamlining to look more like accounting that came out 8 years ago, and the newer donations that came out a couple years back. Everything's kind of moving over to that SQL language. Someone said, thanks for making sure reports include email as well as address and phone. Well, the attendance entry screen doesn't show those, but I mean reports, you can add email and address and phone. So I'm not clear on that statement there. Any other questions or comments? Now you can always email support at support@churchwindows.com, or you can always call support. Also, if you have suggestions for improvements or changes you'd like to see, please email those to support, and we do enter those into a database for the programmers. A lot of the changes that you've seen occurring over the past couple years are, well, not only a result of computers and technology changing, but also due to a customer request of things they'd like to see in the program. I'm going to go ahead and close out of Church Windows, and let me close out of using a virtual desktop machine here because we cannot have the new version on this computer along with our older versions. For those of you who stuck around, and I mentioned I'd show you a few things on the website. If you aren't aware, somebody else maybe signed you up for this webinar. Under training, if you click on free user webinars, that takes you to the page where you can see the current selection of webinars available. This is the one we're doing right now, the version 18 attendance, but we have one coming up on Thursday. And then next Monday, I'm going to give people a preview of the visits area in version 18. But you can come in here and sign up for all of them or just the ones you need. They are all free. Also, if you need assistance and maybe our calls are taking longer than usual to get back to you, or it's the weekend or after hours, make sure you look under support under the new version resources. Here we have quite a few. The list just keeps getting bigger. A lot of free movies. We record these webinars in user groups and clean them up a little bit and throw them out here, and they are here for you to watch. You can watch them from home, wherever you like, and they're all free. Also, under that, under support, the last item is support blog, and this has across the top, you can click on the different modules for specific documents and movies for that module, or you can type in a keyword. But the blog has, it's constantly being updated. And notice here, this was just added July 23rd. So we're always trying to put the most current information out on our blog, Documents and Movies, and that's all free as well. So if you need more assistance and we're not available, definitely check out our website and the blog and the free videos that are on the version resource page. All right. Didn't see any more questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and end this user group today. Hopefully you liked what you see in the new version 18. No specific release date for that, but hopefully within the next couple months that will be sent out. Thank you again so much for attending, and I'm going to go ahead and close the room. Everybody have a great day, and I'm sure I'll probably talk to you on the phone or answer your emails or see you in another user group in the future. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye.